before you press up and immediately take a foul in the backcourt.
Clutch
Up
one
court,
there.
you don't even have to foul now.
4-point lead. Here comes Fox. 5 seconds remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
After 53 years, the New York Knicks are finally NBA champions, and there's been a lot of suffering that's gone into this if you are a long-term Knicks fan, but seeing them finally do it the other night was really a dream come true. Like, I was in tears. I didn't think they were going to do it, but you were confident. I spoke to you during, a bunch of the games. You thought they were going to pull it out. So tell me, why did you think they were going to do so?
They just, like, you could just tell when a team's got it, they got it. They just seemed like they were destined to just pull, just like the Giants when they made that run, that first playoff, or the first Super Bowl with Eli. I thought the Mets had it in 2015. They had something magical with that team. Just like with all the, Daniel Murphy and all these guys like coming through. The Knicks they were finding ways. Like, Brunson was just determined to win it all, and just. He just was unbelievable. It was just, amazing, just an amazing run. And I was confident. I mean, I'm not a Knicks fan. I was telling you, you're Mr. Negativity. So,
well, there's a reason why I'm Mr. Negative, and that's because it's been 53 years, and because of all the shit that we went through as Knicks fans, just all the misses. And we're going to cover all of them, because that's really what I want to get into. I think
that's why I was more, I was like an outside observer almost. Like, I could tell that they were going to win it. When you're a fan of a team that's just perennial losers, you just waiting, like a Mets fan, like, you just waiting for that shoe to drop. Like, someone's going to drop a pop up, or someone's going to throw the ball away. It's just, that's just, goes with coming, like, as being like a fan of these teams, like the Jets, like Rodgers coming out and like blowing his Achilles after he's waving the flag. Like, what's going on?
You nailed it. I mean, it's just being a part of misery for so long. You think it's never going to happen. You think it's never going to happen. And I couldn't believe after 53 years, as well as they were playing, I did not think they were going to pull this off. And to my surprise, they went on an incredible run. But I really want to start with, one, how I became a Knicks fan, because I have a story about this. And then I want to talk about the misery. Yes, we're going to talk a little bit about the misery of being a Knicks fan for the past 27 or so years. So even before that, it's longer than that. So first, let me start off with the story. So how I became a Knicks fan is this. I was a kid. I was like 6 or 7 years old, and I'm sitting at our house when I was a kid, and my dad was at Food Town in where we grew up, and he was shopping for food, and all of a sudden I hear him come through the door like a fucking bat, into the woods, screaming, "Hurry up, get in the car. Patrick Ewing is at Food Town." Those are his exact words. Got in the car, went to Food Town, saw him there, walked up to the guy, myself, not my father, myself, walked up and said, "Hi, are you Patrick Ewing?" And he looked down at me and he said, "Yes, I am." And he shook my hand and I walked away. That's me becoming a Knicks fan. I'll never forget that moment. It was just like a mountain of a man, and I'm a 7-year-old kid, just looking up, and went home, started watching a lot of basketball, became a huge Knicks fan. So that's how it started for me.
Towns has it. Right side, Alvarado off the bounce. Corner three, Anunoby. Bang! 4-point game. Timeout, San Antonio.
What I want to talk about is the misery, the absolute misery. And I have a list in front of me of all of it, okay? 53 years in the making this championship was, but you have to go all the way back, really, I think, to 1994, maybe even before then. We'll start with Michael Jordan. So they're probably 92, 93. Michael Jordan. Being able to get past Michael Jordan. Nobody could, let's be honest, right? The 94 playoffs, Jordan retires, goes to play baseball for a year. 94 playoffs, they finally make it to the finals, even after a little controversy against the Bulls in the prior series. They're able to beat the Pacers with the Ewing putback, get to the finals, and then losing in the finals They should have won it in game 6. They didn't. Went to game 7. John Starks, cold as ice. Okay. The next year, 1995, is the infamous Patrick Ewing finger roll miss. Instead of dunking the ball, they lose in the Eastern Conference Finals. Right after that, Pat Riley resigns as the Knicks coach, and they hire Don Nelson. That didn't go too well. About halfway through the season, Jeff Van Gundy takes over, who, to me, till this day,
legendary. Jeff
yeah,
Van Gundy.
legendary, just incredible coach, grabbing Alonzo's morning legs during that fight. But regardless, that year, 1999, Ewing gets hurt in the playoffs. They make it to the finals, but losing, they lost to the Spurs, obviously. Couple years, or the next year after that, PJ Brown in Miami throws Charlie Ward. Ewing and Larry Johnson come off the bench. They get suspended each for a game. And the Knicks up in that series, by the way, 3-2. They end up losing 2 in a row and lose. Miami goes on to face the Bulls in Eastern Conference Finals, gets swept. After that, that was the last really heartbreak. There were some good moments in there. Larry Johnson's 4-point play, the Houston runner in that series. Obviously, Ewing's put back in 94. But then after that, literally 22 years of absolute dysfunction. Isaiah Thomas. Remember the freaking sexual assault case? And forget that he was an awful GM and a terrible coach as well. Hires Larry Brown, who was terrible for 1 year. Obviously, he had a little bit of a resurgence, training for Carmelo Anthony. They made the playoffs for a couple of years. Then they bring in Phil Jackson, which is an absolute freaking disaster. Okay, so that's all the missteps. That's all the missteps until enter Jalen Brunson, the greatest free agent signing in NBA history. And I'll give you a chance to talk a little bit on that.
Well, I mean, you got to start with Leon Rose, right?
Yeah, 100%. Forgot that.
Best hire that Dolan ever made. They bring in Tibbs, right? Changes the culture immediately of this team. Makes them immediate contenders. They're playing defense. There's accountability. Was Tibbs a perfect coach? No, but I think he was the right guy at the right moment to build this team back to what they should be. Give them a little bit of respectability, somewhere where people want to come play. Did he get the job done last year? No, he fell short. I mean, I was skeptical when they fired him. My cousin's a huge Knicks fan. He was all about Tibbs getting fired. He was like, yeah, he's not going to win them a championship. They hired this guy Brown, and in the beginning of the year, you're like, what is he doing? They were awful. They were awful. Karl Anthony Towns is miserable. They're all, but he stuck to his plan. And his plan, he was playing his bench a lot. And let me tell you, it paid off in this whole playoff run because all these guys were ready to go. They weren't 5 deep. They were 9 deep, maybe 10 deep. So they were able to play their reserves and not really lose. A lot of times the reserves were what were bringing them back. So, I think that's where, for me, the hiring of Leon Rose and the changing of the culture.
Well, I think you just nailed it right there. Leon Rose, yes. Worldwide West, yes. But bringing Thibodeau in to change that culture. The one thing that Tom Thibodeau is a coach that's going to make you work your ass off. Did he stick to his starters too much? Only played 7 guys, sometimes 8. But tiring these guys out, yes, 100%. But what Tom Thibodeau is a guy who's going to come in, he's going to teach defense, he's going to teach effort, he's going to be on your ass. I was pissed off when they let go of Thibodeau because I did not think that he should have been filed. They went to the conference finals. But don't forget, game 1 of that finals, the Halliburton shot, I was at that game. If he doesn't make that circus shot at the end of that game and Knicks win that game, who knows how it turns out? Maybe they get to the NBA Finals. I don't know. But I did not like the firing of Tom Thibodeau, and I certainly did not like the hiring of Mike Brown.
Also, don't forget that, because he overplayed his starters, you had to hurt Jalen Brunson those last few games. He was just beat the hell up, man. He couldn't do anything. It was just... it felt like he was going in there crippled against the Pacers. At the time, I didn't think he should have been fired, but you can't argue with the success of Brown. You really can't.
No, I can't. But I will say this: I killed this guy all year long. between how many guys he played. I understand they had the same record this year, regular season, that they did last year under Thibodeau. I understand that, but they did not look like a cohesive unit playing well offensively or defensively going into the playoffs. I will say that. They did not look great.
Brunson cross court. Shamet puts it up. Puts it in! A 9-point lead. Timeout Cavs.
I want to talk a little bit about Mike Brown towards the end of this podcast, but for right now, I want to talk about this incredible playoff run because it has been something that you have never seen in NBA playoff history before. At least I know I haven't, and they set a lot of records. So I'm going to start it off with the King of New York himself, and that's Jalen Brunson. And his legacy just this year, what he's done from obviously coming to the Knicks, 4 years ago. Obviously, he was the Finals MVP this year, Eastern Conference Finals MVP as well. On track to become the greatest Knick of all time, which we'll also touch on later. But get this, he averaged 26 points per game in the playoffs, 6.8 assists per game. Obviously, he was a team leader as well. They had 2 massive comebacks, which we'll touch on a little bit as well. I don't want to do that yet, but incredible. Game 5 of the NBA Finals, 45 points, 14 of 27 from the field, 4 from 7 from 3, 13 of 15 from the free throw line, and nearly 49% of the Knicks' points were his in the title clinching game. So talk a little bit about Jalen Brunson and his magical run. Don't go into specifics about game winners yet. I want to talk about that a little bit more as we break down each game, but about himself, and then I'll talk about each individual player who kind of, contributed after that.
Well, I mean, at times I feel like he should, he seems to take over the game almost too much sometimes.
Yeah, I agree.
He just, he needs to dish the ball a lot of times. But, throughout the playoffs, I could think of maybe one game where he didn't come through. I think every game in this playoff run, he legit carried this team on his back. And, it takes a lot of balls to do that. Like, your team needs for you're going to win anything, you need a guy that is going to take that final shot. Like, even though that game 4 was OG tipping it back in, the guy taking the shot was Brunson. And he nearly put it in if you look at it.
If you look at each individual series in the playoffs, like you saw them, and we'll get into this a little bit, the Atlanta series, the series against the Sixers and the Cavs, the ball movement and the offense was a lot different than it was in the Spurs series. Spurs series, a lot of one-on-one basketball, a little bit of a team play, but it was a lot of one-on-one stuff, which we'll talk about later. But I want to get into, obviously, Jalen's the man. He's the leader of this team. He put them on their back at crucial moments.
As might want a timeout if he scores.
Brunson, three-pointer, puts it in! Captain Clutch has come alive! It's a 5-point game, timeout Cavaliers!
During the playoff run, but I want to talk each individually about a little bit about some of the players who actually contribute to this. Let's start with Cat. I wasn't a huge fan when they made this trade. I'm one of the few people because I know Randall could score. He didn't play a lot of defense, but Cat was known for being lazy, not playing defense, and what he did in the playoffs this year defensively, not just against Wemby, but against the entire series. I thought he played extremely well. Obviously, he's an interior rebounder. He could score. He averaged actually for the playoff 11.9 rebounds per game. OG, obviously the best defender on the court. Him and Hart you can argue either one, but he's usually guarding the opposition's best offensive player. And we won't even talk about the tipping yet. We'll talk about that later. But just big shot after big shot from OG. Mikal played well defensively throughout the series, hit some big shots when the Knicks needed it. A lot of corner threes for him. Wasn't a huge scoring presence, but they really needed him to be a defensive anchor, and he played a lot better than he did in the regular season. Obviously, my favorite player, Josh Hart. He is the heart of the New York Knicks. You saw at a lot of these games, him skying over everybody, grabbing rebounds. The emotional engine is what I call him, because he could play every minute in the game. 48 minutes, there's no question he could do it if he needed to. The hustle plays, the rebounding. He almost cost us with that missed layup, but thank God he didn't.
I was going nuts. I'm like, oh my God, what are you doing?
Yeah,
it could have been detrimental.
Yeah, we'll get to that. And Mitchell Robinson, obviously, with the defense, rebounding, and some timely shooting by Miles McBride and Landry Shamet. Landry Shamet really coming out of nowhere.
Oh.
What I saw in the playoffs was teams really focusing on getting the ball out of Brunson's hands. And the first 3 series, he was making great passes. They were always finding the wide open guys, and the guys were knocking down shots. It wasn't like that in the Spurs series.
No,
but in this series. But in those first 3 series, it was unbelievable, especially after Game 3 at home, Game 3 in Atlanta. Something happened, and we'll talk about that later. But, what stood out from any of the players on the Knicks outside of specific plays that you thought we should talk about?
Well, number one, the team defense was phenomenal.
Rebound deflected in the backcourt. Fox has a chance to get it. Fox has it inside, blocked by Anunoby.
Not so much in the San Antonio series, but every series before that, it's like the Knicks would play phenomenal defense, and it would just lead to fast breaks, open shots. And that's the other thing, was they were hitting these shots. They were destroying these teams. They were blowing them out because the ball movement, the defense, the ball movement, the shooting was phenomenal. The shooting kind of fell off in the San Antonio series. And that's why they fell behind most of the games. But their defense also lacked. But I think what I think is the refereeing in that series was a little bit more favored towards the Spurs, because any ticky-tack foul was called against the Knicks, whereas Wemby and all these other guys would destroy the Knicks and get nothing called on them. The one game they called 2 quick fouls on Mikhail. Then they had 2 quick fouls on Cat. It's like, and then they're calling, flagrants against Hart, flagrants against, they've called flagrants against Towns. I think, what's his name too? Robinson had a flagrant too.
That was deserved. That was deserved, though. He gave him a good shot.
And they finally gave Wemby a flagrant for that was nothing compared to what he had done previous.
The Knicks had such an incredible playoff run. The statistics are just something the NBA has never seen before. So I want to cover some of the historic numbers out there. First, they had a 16-3 record in the playoffs, winning 15 out of the last 16. They split in New York, the first series against Atlanta. They ended up losing Game 3 in Atlanta, and then something happened. I heard they had a players-only meeting, and from then on, this team was insane. They had one of the greatest playoff records ever. Like I said, 15 out of 16 and going 16-3. There was a plus 283 point differential throughout the playoffs, which is the best playoff differential in NBA history. Obviously, everybody knows about the 13-game winning streak, one of the longest postseason winning streaks ever in the NBA. And what nobody talks about, I haven't heard anybody mention this, 9 straight road wins sets an NBA playoff record. I'm not done. They shot 40.3% from 3 during their winning streak. 40% from the 3, which is insane. Elite efficiency under pressure. Just insane numbers. Tell me what you think about what I just told you. It's unheard of. You don't hear this stuff in the playoffs.
No, and honestly, it has to be ranked, or they will have to be ranked as one of the best teams to win a finals. And I don't care what anyone said. This is coming from someone that's not a Knicks fan. So, you got to go back to those Bulls teams back in the Jordan era.
70-win team, yeah.
Yeah, to find dominance like that. But even back then, I don't think they had dominance like that. They ran through these teams. They lost by a combined total of 6 points in the entire playoffs.
Brunson on the drive, stops, falling away, it's up, it's good! Jalen Brunson, another clutch shot, we're tied again.
That's a stat I did not bring up, and that is a wild stat.
That's insane. That's unheard of, man. The Bulls had some amazing teams. And the funny thing is they kept writing these Knicks off. They kept, they were underdogs. The whole, I think basically for most of the playoffs, they were the underdog, which is crazy. Even when they went to go play Philadelphia, like, oh, Philadelphia is going to take down the Knicks because Philly's got their number or whatever. Like, come on. They destroyed them. And then when they came in against the Spurs, the Knicks were still underdogs. It was crazy.
You know what? You even have to talk about that Golden State team with Durant,
Steph. That's another good team.
I don't remember if that was the team that won like 13 in a row as well, but they went on a huge run. So those are the only two teams that I could compare. Was that Golden State Warriors team and that 70
Let me say something though. Like those teams had Hall of Famers up and down, like at every position.
That's the difference.
You look at the Bulls. You look at the Golden State Warriors. I mean, are any of these Knicks Hall of Famers? I mean, maybe Brunson, maybe.
I think it's definitely.
I would
Brunson.
assume now that he won a championship, could be.
Yeah, he's gone. Maybe Cat just on numbers, but people are talking about.
I don't think Cat, but I mean, if you do the eye test, just the eye test.
Exactly.
I'm gonna say Brunson, but nobody else, which makes it even more unbelievable.
It's just a remarkable run. The statistics are, to me, what's really caught my eye. Just obviously the 13-game winning streak, losing 3 games, and you said it, losing those 3 games by a combined 6 points.
I've never seen that. And I've been watching basketball for many years. So, I mean, you could look it up. I don't think there's any team that had that type of dominance. Any team.
No, it just completely. But do you think that this team is just like they got like their crap together at the right time and they just capitalized on it? Do you think this has staying power?
Listen, I mean, you act like they didn't win a bunch of games in the regular season. They were like what, 3 seed?
Yeah, 53 games.
All right, that's good. Like, did they play I think they had a stretch. All right, they started off, I think, really well, right? Then they had a stretch where they were playing bad, and I think Cat was like, like moping around, and I don't know where I fit in this offense, and it got to the point where, eventually, like he bought into the system. Like it took him time. I felt like it took him time to figure out his role in this offense. And once he did, that's when the team actually took off. And it only got better once he got to the playoffs.
All right, so I want to talk a little bit about each series individually, and I broke this down. I have some more numbers. They're just the amazing moments that happen in each series. Obviously, we'll start with the first series with Atlanta. As I said before, there was a turning point after Game 3. Something happened with this team. And they just went on a freaking tear. They won that series 4-2, down 2-1 in the series. I said that before. On the closeout game, the Knicks had a 47-point lead at halftime, which to me was remarkable. And they won Game 5 behind Brunson's 39 points. But I'm trying to remember to myself what was the key moment in that series outside of the team only meeting they had, or players only meeting. But to me, it was that huge 3-point shooting that they had in that series. Like, I feel like the 3-point shooting after the fact really put them over the edge in that series, and Atlanta couldn't really do anything about it.
Yeah, I believe that Atlanta was just no match for them. For some reason, Atlanta always gives them fits. I don't know what it is with Atlanta, and it's not even the same Atlanta team. That's the funny thing. No. It's not even. Yep. It's like different players, but I mean, they were like the toughest challenge, which is crazy, up until the Spurs, obviously, but Atlanta, I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the turning point in that series was, but I feel like them losing Game 3 was like a wake-up call almost. It's like, we need to go out there and show these MFers like who we really are. I feel like they didn't take Atlanta's too seriously, and maybe that's why listen, they lost by a point each time, but they're like, look, we shouldn't have lost these games.
All right, second round against the Sixers, they absolutely dominated Philadelphia all over the court. They end up sweeping that series as well. 30-point closeout win in Game 4. Deuce McBride, get this stat, shot 7 from 9 from 3 in Game 4 of that series. Again, ridiculous percentage shooting. And at that moment, they started looking like a different team to me.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a big factor in that series was the defense. The defense on Embiid, the rebounding.
He was terrible.
Yeah, they just dominated the Knicks. Big men dominated them. They couldn't compete with them. They were just.
The one thing I want to mention about Embiid, especially, is if they got Embiid in the pick and roll, forget it. He was dead. He had no lateral movement. He couldn't keep up. He got picked off at any point. We were getting to the basket and getting easy shots. And if somebody else converged on, the driver, he would kick it and they would be knocking down open threes. Yeah. So that really killed him. The same thing kind of happened against the Spurs, because as good as Wemby is and being 7'5", 7'6", whatever the hell he is, he can recover a little bit easier, but he doesn't have the foot speed either to kind of keep up with some of these small guards.
He's kind of like goofy.
Very.
He trips over himself sometimes. It's crazy. If you watch him, he's very like uncoordinated still.
Yeah.
It's kind of weird. He looks like a giraffe. Like when you see a giraffe, like a baby giraffe, and he's like tripping at the zoo. That's what he looks like.
As good as the Spurs are defensively, that's what really helped them out. Because if he did get beat, they were trapping automatically when they were trying to set picks at the top of the key. So that, kudos to the Spurs. Their young guards are absolutely tremendous.
Yeah, Dylan Harper is ridiculous. Honestly, they're the team coming out next year that they're going to be the team to beat. Even though the Knicks won, everyone's going to be like San Antonio's the team to beat, because they're only going to get better. They're young and they're only going to get better. So
I want to give me and Dylan Harper, by the way, went to the same high school. So shout out Don Bosco Prep. Eastern Conference Finals. This was a series for me which really stood out because everybody knows, and we thought was one of the greatest comebacks ever. Game 1 at home after the long rest, down 22 points in the fourth quarter with 7 minutes to go. The Knicks come back and win that freaking game, which is insane. I thought that was nuts. I thought that was a crazy comeback. People were saying that Cleveland was dead after that game.
Yes, they were. I feel like that buried them because, listen, anything is possible against the Cavs, especially since they have James Harden. The guy plays no fucking defense. He's terrible. He's like such a joke. It's not even funny.
I don't know how some people say he's like a top whatever player. Yes, I understand he's a gifted scorer. He's a flopper as well, and his defense is atrocious.
He's terrible. He's part of the reason why the Nets didn't fucking win that year when they had all the big three. In the playoffs, he's just a bum. He's just a bum.
All right, so more statistics from this Cavs series. Check this out. The Knicks in Game 1 closed that game with a 44-11 run to win that game, which is wild to me. But the bigger stat that I want to feed, Landry Shamet in that series shot 11 from 12 from 3, 91.7%.
He's going to want a clear out or a screen to try to get a switch.
Shot clock winding down. Brunson whips to the Shamet. Open three in the corner. Puts it in.
Which to me, he couldn't miss. I want to go see the shot that he missed because, maybe did a roll in or roll out.
I didn't remember him missing either. He was ridiculous. I don't know. He's just phenomenal. He's a phenomenal guy. And you know what? Good for him. He worked his ass off. He was, he was like he was in no man's land. The Nets had him. Now the Knicks played him a lot though too. They played him. They played him throughout the seasons, which that paid off.
Kudos to Mike Brown. Landry Shamet couldn't hit a shot in the Spurs series, but we'll talk about that later. But yeah, to me, that was a stat that just jumped out. Who shoots 91% from 3? That's insane. Obviously, they swept. Yeah, 4-0 sweep. And again, we talked about it before, Brunson captured the Eastern Conference Finals MVP. So let's talk about, obviously, the Spurs series, the NBA Finals. Obviously, we're all happy that the Knicks made it. Again, sweeping these series, they had off so much time off. I think there was like 7 or 8 days before they got to play the Spurs after they won that game. And it showed right away in Game 1, they were down 14 or 16 points right off the bat. And they came back, took the lead, and that set the tone early for the series.
Yeah, absolutely. You could just tell. The same thing in the previous series. All that time off, it looked like they were rusty. Like they weren't in their game shape. Do you know what I mean? But in true Knicks fashion, man, they came back. They, late run, and they just whipped their ass. It's just that's
Again,
how they did it.
In the Spurs series, or in the previous 3 series, it was the team. In this series, it was all Jalen Brunson.
Oh,
really,
yeah, absolutely.
Cat.
Absolutely.
I thought Cat in game 1 played well, and then maybe for the first half of game 2 he played well. After that, he was kind of MIA.
Yeah,
Defensively,
well, I mean, a lot of it was the refs, though. The refs were kind of harsh on him throughout that series.
But they weren't moving the ball as well, and I akin that to the Spurs being able to trap Brunson before he even gets across half court, and he's got to get rid of the ball.
Even though Brunson had a fantastic series, he did not start off every game great. It took him till the third quarter to start hitting buckets. It was kind of bad, But I mean, he was there in the end when it counts. So I mean, that's all that really matters.
He is the big bucket maker. Game 2, obviously the Knicks keep it close. They end up stealing that game late on a missed jumper by Wemby at the end of that game.
Yep.
Kind of hits the back of the rim. They end up going up 2-0. They lose game 3 at home, which I kind of thought that was going to happen. I didn't think the Spurs were going to lose 3 in a row. I didn't know how this team was going to react after losing game 3. I really did not know. It was 45 days since they had lost the game. So I didn't know if they were going to come out playing horribly, if they're going to say, you know what, the Spurs are going to take this series now. I didn't know what their mindset was going to be. And it showed, because in game 4, they went down 29 points in the second half of that game. And I almost shut the thing off.
Well, I'm going to say game 3 was the reason why game 4 went the way it did. Losing that game, I mean, I still think the refs handed that game to the freaking Spurs, that game 3. They were calling everything possible against the Knicks. They weren't giving them, I mean, Spurs can do whatever they want. Knicks couldn't do anything. It was just poorly officiated. I've seen so many things online with Tim Donaghy saying that, the NBA calls the refs in and tells them, make sure if a team is down to give the other team the calls. So that way, the series goes longer, it goes 7. It's like they want it to happen. So it to me, it looked, I mean, not just to me, to a lot of people, it looks like they were just trying to give them the series.
Yeah, it did definitely look that way. It almost was painfully obvious at times, not calling certain fouls.
But then it carried over to game 4 because the officiating was just horrendous. And then you have the Knicks down by like at one point it was 30, right? Almost 30.
Yeah, 29
points. I mean, I never shut the game because I didn't either. I'm like, with this team, you don't know. You just don't know. The way they play. It's like anything is freaking possible. And then when they were coming back, I'm like, holy shit. This is, you knew something was going to be special when the comeback was happening.
You started to see it, but then the Spurs kept making shots. I'm like, oh, you know what? They're making shots. It's going to be tough. And all of a sudden, you see them cut it to like 15, 16 points. I'm like, you know what? This is doable. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, you see Brunson starting to heat up. He makes a huge shot over Wemby. He passes it into the corner, and they ended up passing back out. He takes it out. He shoots a 3 over Wemby.
Yeah, was Towns. Was it Towns?
No, I'm talking. He did have a 3 in the corner, but I'm talking about Brunson's 3 over Wemby. That I think he cut the lead down to 5.
Drives, pulls back. Shot clock at 5. Brunson fires up a 3. Puts it in. 1-point game. This building is shaking right now.
And you can hear Mike Breen. I think he says like, this building is shaking right now. I think that was on that play, but it was just, to me, when he hit that shot, I'm like, you know what? I think they got a shot here.
When they got it down to like 15, it's like you could almost see the meme of Jim Carrey. So you're saying there's a chance.
The Spurs come back. The Knicks finally get the lead, and that was in that game where Josh Hart missed that layup, and I'm like,
oh my god!
I dropped to my knees. And
like, Ewing.
Yeah, I'm like, that's exactly what I thought. I'm like, here we go. I'm gonna have to.
That could have been up there with the Charles Smith Memorial if things had gone down south.
I didn't even mention Charles Smith before. I forgot about that.
Oh, the Charles Smith Memorial. Oof.
But when he missed that, I'm like, I'm gonna have to relive this moment again. I'm like, they're gonna fucking lose this game on that again. But they end up taking the lead after that, and end up going down 1, and then we have the what I think, honestly, is the greatest play in NBA history. It's certainly the greatest play in Knicks history, and that's OG in the hand of God.
Allow him to operate at the top, 101. Brunson gets it, fires up a three. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone! It's gone! It's gone! With 1.2 remaining, Knicks take the lead. OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106.
I thought the shot from Brunson was a terrible shot. I thought, one, I understand why he took it early because he wanted to get the rebound and wanted to have time to tip it in. But I think it was too far of a three. I thought they could have got a better shot than that.
Knowing Brunson, he wanted that. He's the man. He wants that shot. He thinks well, first of all, he was on a heater, number one. So you need to give him the ball. He needs to be the guy taking that last shot. OG, brilliant, crashing the boards. That is phenomenal. I mean, listen, I'm not a Knicks fan. I went fucking nuts in this. Like, I think I woke up everybody downstairs because I was going nuts.
Everybody was going nuts. I mean, that to me is the defining moment in NBA history. That play, just because you don't expect something like that. He came from the inbound.
See that again. You never see it again.
Dude,
30
the
points,
hand of
30 points with a second left to tip it in for the win. Being down 30 points in a finals, that's insane.
Just the wherewithal, one, to inbound the ball and crash the boards as soon as you know he was going to take that shot. You know, that's part of it is incredible, but part of it is also luck. Let's not, you sugarcoat it. It is 100%. We played basketball. We know how it goes, but this ended up being the greatest comeback win in NBA Finals history.
Harper's going to inbound the ball. No timeouts left. They have to get it in. Harper lobs it inside. Castle has it, lost it. That's it. It's over. The greatest comeback in NBA playoff history.
I don't know how the Spurs even played as hard as they did in Game 5 after that game, because when you give up, it's one thing to give up 22 points in the fourth quarter, but to give up 29 is just, it's insane, especially against a team like the Spurs, where they're probably one of the best defensive teams in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, they did play. The Spurs played hard, and in fact, they were winning. Knicks came back again.
Yeah,
it's just part of the story. It's just, it was like they were a team of destiny. Like I told you before, told you that from before. I think you were slightly doubting them.
Of course, after all this shit I've been through for 30 years, how could I not doubt them?
I was texting you throughout the game. I said, "Don't worry."
You did.
I guarantee you the victory. And I told you they were going to win.
Let's get into that Game 5 and the clinching game here. Final Knicks 94, Spurs 90. But again, they went down again early in the first quarter. They did not look good, down I think by 14 or whatever it was at the end of the first quarter. The story here is Jalen Brunson. Legendary closing performance, 45 points, nearly 49% of the points that were scored for the Knicks, 14 of 27 field goal. I said this before, 4 for 7 from 3, 13 of 15 from free throw, which is insane. And to me, which is makes it remarkable, is this is a closing game in the highest setting and the most important setting there is in the NBA Finals in a closeout game, and he was at his best. And everyone else was terrible. OG had his first bad game, really, of the playoffs.
He did, yeah.
It was just an incredible performance, and the call from Mike Breen, to me, will stick in my head for the rest of my life.
Here comes Fox. 5 seconds remaining. Fox to Wemby. Wemby tries a three, puts it up, off the mark. Anunoby the rebound. It's over. It's over. Knicks fans, this is not a dream. Your long, long wait has ended. Go ahead and cry. After 53 years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
One of the great calls. Yeah, it's up there. It's up there with one of the greatest calls ever. Yeah, shout out to all those people who had OG winning the MVP at 5,000 to 1. You just lost out because he had that big game 5, man, you made a lot of money.
Let me ask you a question. If OG doesn't tip that ball in, but the Knicks still win the series, I mean, let's just say OG has, forget that. Let's say OG has a good game in Game 5 and Brunson has an okay game. Does OG win it then? Because Game 4 was such a huge. Yeah, I think. I mean,
I think he wins it hands down.
You don't come across with the greatest tip in, greatest moment in sports history.
If he had followed it up, 30 30 points, 11 rebounds, and 10 assists, or, whatever. 10 assists and 8 rebounds, whatever. If he had a big game in Game 5, there's no way he's not winning the MVP.
I actually think that the team relies on him too much, and I think he plays too much hero ball at times where he's got to get the ball out of his hands and they got to move. But I credit the Spurs.
They need to. Like the cat's got to be utilized more. I mean, but yeah, I get it. He was in foul trouble, so he couldn't play that much. But they got to utilize Cat too, man. Like, pick and rolls are key. They got to do pick and rolls.
The problem with Cat with pick and rolls, he cannot be on pick and rolls because he's too slow. He's just like Wemby in that point where if he gets the ball at the top of the key, he waits too long with the ball. He's got to make his decision and go to the rim, no matter who. Yeah, especially if he has Wemby on.
Robinson does it well.
Yeah, he does. He's actually what makes Mitchell Robinson really good at that is because I think Cat is a little bit. People call him soft. I don't think he's soft, but I don't think he has a. He doesn't think he has a wherewithal.
He's got a flopper's mentality, though. Like
exactly
that. Stop being a bitch. He was doing that all season. Not in the playoffs, he wasn't. But
he did it in the Spurs series and in those last couple of games. He started doing that again. He starts to get very frustrated, but he's got to realize that. The first 2 games, he was going to the basket, taking Wemby to the basket, and he was making plays. He stopped doing that after that. He couldn't stop. He would have helped the Knicks out so much because he's a great passer as well.
I think the refs helped him out a little bit too.
100%.
Game 3 and Game 4.
So obviously, Knicks win their first championship in 53 years. So it was an iconic moment for me, especially for all New Yorkers. Everybody grew up a Knicks fan. It was well worth the wait after all the things that we've been through. But I want to switch gears a little bit and talk a little bit about Mike Brown. Because I said before, like, I killed the hiring. I didn't think they should have fired Tibbs, and I didn't think he was great during the regular season, even though they had the same record as the previous year. But I got to say, in the playoffs, dude, this guy he pushed every button that he needed to push. Every move that he made was the right move. Whether it was, playing Shamet more when he was hot, I thought it was a good move. Playing Alvarado, who hit some huge shots.
Brunson looks up at the clock. Finds Alvarado. Open look. Alvarado three-pointer. It's good! Back to 4 with 3 minutes remaining.
In that game, that comeback, I said they needed to play Brunson and Alvarado together because to increase the speed. And he did that. Literally right after I texted to someone, he put them together in the game, and it really changed the game. Yeah, he changed the game for the Knicks. That was the one thing I said. You know what? He wasn't afraid to make a move if something wasn't working. And the moves that he made every time throughout the playoffs was the right move. I was shocked.
Yeah. Listen, that was like the biggest debate at the beginning of the season. Well, before the season, I should say, because they hired him before the season started. But that's all you heard on sports radio was, why'd they fire Tibbs? And, some people were for it. Some people were against. Most people were against it, to be honest with you. But looking back, that was the right decision. I mean, Tibbs, he did a great job, but when it came down to like the, crunch time, he folded. He wasn't making the right decisions. He didn't play his players to have them ready for the playoffs. It crumbled for him. And it was showed like back-to-back years. Brunson was battered by the end of the season. This year he looked like he was refreshed.
Let me ask you a question about Mike Brown. Obviously we know about his legacy. 2-time coach in Cleveland, got fired twice there, got fired by the Lakers, by the Kings. But he did win, as an assistant coach, 3 championships with the Golden State Warriors. Does this change Mike Brown's legacy? Because he was known as a guy who couldn't get it done as a head coach, good assistant coach, but a guy who really wasn't hard on players, so never got where he needed to go, although he did have success. Does this change his legacy now that he's got a championship with the Knicks?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, he's a great coach, but this solidifies him as a great coach because he won a championship. I mean, all those other firings, by the way, there was always... there's always rumors and issues with players, and how the NBA is. It's like if you don't get along with star player, you're gone. But I think what helped him this time around was Tibbs set the culture, and it also helped having the 3 Villanova guys who were teammates, who are friends.
That's a good point.
They made this like a family, and Listen, it showed out there on the court, man. These guys like really truly care about each other, and they pull for each other. And if one guy's not doing it, someone else is going to pick up the slack. It's just that's what makes a great team. If one guy can't do it, then the next guy up. Let's go.
The one thing I'm going to say about Mike Brown, which he needs to do a better job next year. I know, people are going to say, why are you criticizing this guy? All great coaches got a little bit of mean in them. The one thing I'll say about him, I heard some great stories about him, giving them motivational speeches before games. He needs to hold guys more accountable during the regular season. He didn't have to push them like Thibodeau pushed them, because obviously we all know Todd is like a tyrant with that. He goes overboard a little bit, but he needs to hold them more accountable if they want to do this again. That's my only gripe. Other than that, I do think that he, kind of turned his coaching career around. Obviously, people know him as a good coach now. He pushed all the right buttons, like I said. So kudos to Mike Brown. I'm happy for him. So where do you think Jalen Brunson ranks among the all-time greatest Knicks? Where would you put him?
He's on the Mount Rushmore for sure now.
No question.
I'm going to go. Clyde got 2 championships. Clyde, Willis Reed. Willis Reed, hold on a minute. Jalen Brunson, Patrick Ewing.
So wow, I'm going. I hate to say this, Patrick Ewing to me is my favorite player of all time. Okay, but
Patrick Ewing's got to be on the Mount Rushmore, but Jalen Brunson, because he won, has got to be above Ewing.
I just think it's hard for me to put the older guys above Ewing and Jalen Brunson, considering the errors that they played in. If you go look at those older Knicks teams, they had an incredible roster. Don't get me wrong. One of the champs had Earl the Pearl, Dave DeBusschere, Bradley. They had an incredible roster. A lot of guys, those guys are hanging their jerseys in Madison Square Garden. So to me, I'm putting Jalen Brunson number 1 now. After everything that was thrown on his back, and for them to come out and do what they did, the historical run. He's 1, Patrick Ewing's number 2, Clyde, and then Willis Reed. That's the way I'm going to go. But final question before we end this thing, all right? This magical playoff run, what was your favorite moment of it?
I mean, come on, dude. It's got to be the tip in.
Allow him to operate at the top, 101. Brunson gets it, fires up a 3. Shot no good. The chip, it's gone. It's gone. It's gone. With 1.2 remaining. Knicks take the lead. OG Anunoby, and it's 107-106.
The hand of God, man. To me, that's the greatest play that I've ever seen. It beats Larry Johnson's 4-point play. It beats Houston's runner. It beats Ewing's putback.
It beats every Knick moment in history, dude, because they won the finals. That's what matters. I don't care what you could go like this all day long. I don't care. It don't mean shit because they didn't win. I told you that.
That's the most excited I've ever been for any sporting event I've ever watched.
I'm telling you, I was excited for you. I was excited for all my friends and relatives that are Knick fans, because I'm like, you know what? You don't get to see that shit ever. That is just this shit just doesn't happen to us. It doesn't.
Yeah. I agree.
So let me throw you a question. We had the previous week's podcast, and we did the 10 greatest moments in New York sports history. That was the day before Game 4.
Yeah.
Where do you put that play now? Now that they won the championship.
To me, I said this before. That is the greatest moment in New York sports history. There's no question in my mind, because they won. Did you enjoy today's episode? If you loved the conversation today, the best way to support the show is to head on over to Apple Podcasts or Spotify and leave us a quick 5-star rating. It takes just a few seconds, it's completely free, and it helps other listeners find the show. If you're listening on YouTube, make sure to give us a thumbs up, and thank you to everyone who's already left a rating. I'll see you guys at the next episode.